Kaustubha Das here with the big announcement for Wisdom of the Sages listeners. This August will be Ashram Month at the Super Soul Farm. Simple ashram living, rising early, morning kirtan, yoga and pranayama, healthy vegan and vegetarian meals, farm seva and being immersed in nature, and then gathering in the evenings for kirtan and readings. Plus, each week we'll have a lead presenter teaching a different facet of the philosophy and lifestyle of Bhakti Yoga. Week number 1 will be the exceptional Bhakti Lata teaching a course called The Beauty of Bhakti, bringing the culture of love and devotion into our lives. Week number 2 is my brother from another mother, Raghunath, teaching Falling in Love with Divinity, the Bhakti-yogi's method for opening the heart. And week number 3 is myself with a course called Following the Path, examining the history and teachings of Bhakti Yoga. You can come for 1, 2, or all 3 weeks, and the pricing is by donation. For more dates and information, go to wisdomofthesages.com/events. Peace.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and Senior Education Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Monday's today's Makeover Monday. It's a chance to refresh yourself, Kaustubha, wherever you were at this week and all the crazy stuff you did. It's a chance for you to say, you know what? Today's a new day. Okay. Yesterday's gone. It didn't exist. Me and my new bestie, John Burke, were talking yesterday. We're like, did yesterday exist? Or is it just like last night's dream? What's your answer to that?
Well, it's both. It did exist, but it is also like last night's dream because it's gone now.
It's gone now. Living in the past, sometimes crippling my future. Can't say crippling. How are you?
Doing okay.
We had a great weekend.
Good. What is it, painting?
Painting. Well, it's a yin weekend, but I snagged some painters, including my friend John Burke, who answered my dentist text message, said he's a professional painter. I said, can you get up here tomorrow? The guy drove up here, and he turns out he's an old school hardcore guy. Mm-hmm. We used to hang out and live with Prema from Philly. Everybody's old school hardcore. It's unbelievable. People, you would never believe it. Matter of fact, if you're listening to on Zoom, welcome everybody. Can you please put up on the board your name and say, were you into hardcore or not into hardcore? Just say yes, hardcore, and no hardcore. I'm very curious because there's a lot of people you'll never think are hardcore that are hardcore. There's the obvious, like Narayani. She's got sleeves of tattoos.
You got an angelic upstarts tattoo.
Yeah, but then you got
which we still haven't seen, by the way.
And then I've seen it. And then there's like Jiu-Jitsu Nath, of course. Vegan trucker, of course, they're hardcore. Like Joe Adamo, what is he?
Hardcore.
You know, Crystal Whitson. What is she? Josh Sita. What is she?
Hardcore is how Crystal got here.
See, hardcore. Okay. Anyway, it's good to know. And all the civilians like Mara, they're like, what the hell is hardcore? What is hardcore?
All right.
Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. Guess what? Rocco, my son, all the kids are, they're on the boys bus tour. It's like 28 boys traveling around America on a bus, all devotees.
Yeah.
And they have this thing on the permission slip. All the kids are shaving their heads or cutting their hair short. And I said to him, are you going to cut it? Because he's got long, beautiful hair.
Forever. He's
got long, beautiful blonde hair. He's like, maybe I'll get a Sika. I was like, oh my God, get a Sika.
He's going to do that huge Sika thing.
Big South Indian Sika. I was like, get the Sika. Are you kidding? You've got giant long hair. He's like, well, maybe I should. But then if I cut it off, it's like sinful, isn't it? I go, no, just do it. It's not sinful.
That'll be, I haven't seen, I mean, Rocco's always had that long hair.
I know. He's always had that long hair.
We ought to get Raghunath Swami someday on the show. He's this incredible person, isn't he? He's like this. He's a sannyasi, right? He's a renunciate.
Yeah,
it means he's never been married, never had kids. But every summer he takes all of these kids, touring all these boys. They tour the whole country. They go to all the different Rath Yatra, and he is just full of. He's like one of the most positive energy people I ever met in my life.
He is. I love him a lot. But he's not doing it. Manu and John Roddy are doing it this year. It's usually Keish does it, but they're having a baby. Keisha's family's having a baby this year.
Raghunath Swami isn't on it anymore?
I don't know if he's on it, truthfully. Anyway,
It's a great opportunity. Those kids, they make friends on those tours. And
No, it's
really,
it's
and it
truthfully.
shows how important that friendship is in one's devotional life, right? Because you're going through this teenage years where you can just drift off in so many different directions, but you make friends with other devotee kids, and they're really, you see those friendships are real, you know?
You know what? It's just a part of like human nature. You want to bond when you're a
Yeah.
teenager, and if you don't have good kids to bond with, you bond with the crazies I bonded with, like Paramananda. Me and Paramananda just doing her. No, Paramananda was good association, but you just bond with somebody, but me and Paramananda got lucky because we were both straight edge, but we could have bonded with a bunch of knuckleheads. There was enough knuckleheads going around back then.
I did some of that.
Yeah, you did.
But they were all devotees somehow too, so we can't knock it.
Yeah, it worked out. You turned out okay. Anyway.
Why don't we make some announcements? Because we got the big one. I mean, we announced it already, but we got
John V. Harrison is coming to Super Soul Farm next week for the Wisdom of the Sages. Woo! Retreat.
That's gonna be so awesome.
I'm so excited. And we're doing kirtan from like 3:30 to the evening time.
Is she there for the whole weekend or just for the 3rd?
She hasn't decided yet.
Okay. We got to try to.
She hasn't decided yet,
early.
but she's coming, and we're working on some others. And I'm gonna do some songs and storytelling. We're putting the whole schedule together, and Seth Lieberman's singing. Seth is great, and he's a great kirtan leader too.
Correct.
And so,
I think I'm going to do some Gita 13th chapter over the week.
Yeah,
course of the weekend.
I'm excited for the weekend. I'm excited for Bonfire. I'm excited for Mara's vegan meatball subs.
We got to you have to sell all the benefits of being upstate in the summer to Genevieve, like it's the lakes and all of that. She's into nature. You got to play the nature card for her, Raghunath.
We got nature. You
got sheep.
We got a little sheep for you, Genevieve. You can ride the sheep around. Yeah. You can sleep under the. I'm gonna sleep on. Me and John Burke slept under the stars. Yes, last night. It was wonderful.
Beautiful. You tell her the Sleeping Under the Stars is available.
Yeah.
Now, Mayor, are there other announcements this morning?
Yeah, we do have some other announcements. We have Bhakti recovery group meetings today at 1 and 9:30, and then tomorrow morning right after the show at 7:15 a.m. There's an asana class with Ariel Castillo.
All right.
And then this weekend, this Wednesday evening, Lauren Baptiste is offering a balancing pitta workshop of managing heat with Ayurveda. Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I eat popsicles. That's how I balance my pizza.
You got a nugget for us, Sergey?
Yes. Here's the nugget.
A story, huh?
It's good. It's like a Aesop's fable type of story.
Yeah.
The donkey told the tiger, "The grass is blue."
Mm-hmm.
The tiger replied, "No, the grass is green, donkey." The discussion became heated, and the two of them decided to submit the issue to arbitration. So they approached the lion. As they approached the lion on his throne, the donkey started screaming, "Your Highness, isn't it true that the grass is blue?" The lion replied, "If you believe it is true, the grass is blue." The donkey rushed forward and continued, "The tiger disagrees with me, contradicts me, and annoys me. Please punish him." Yeah. The king then declared, "The tiger will be punished with 3 days of silence." The donkey jumped up in joy and went on his way, content and repeating, "The grass is blue, the grass is blue." Okay. The tiger asked the lion, "Your Majesty, why have you
get a little hee-haw kind of thing into that donkey voice?" Sure.
Okay, I got you. The tiger asked the lion, "Your Majesty, why have you punished me? After all, the grass is green." The lion replied, "You've known and seen the grass is green." The tiger asked, "So why did you punish me?" The lion replied, "That has nothing to do with the question of whether the grass is blue or green. The punishment is because it is degrading for a brave, intelligent creature like you to waste time arguing with an ass. And on the top of that, you came and bothered me with that question just to validate something you already knew was true." This is a great, timely. Like the biggest waste of time is arguing with a fool and fanatic who who doesn't care about truth or reality, but only the victory of his beliefs and illusions. Never waste time on discussions that make no sense. There are people who, for all the evidence presented to them, do not have the ability to understand. Others are blinded by ego, hatred, and resentment. And the only thing that they want is to be right, even if they aren't. When emotions run high, intellect goes low.
Okay.
Wow.
That was that dramatic reading.
Did you make that up?
No, I just found it on Facebook. I don't know where it comes from actually, but
that was
I thought it
very,
was
very good.
Yeah. You know, of course, you know, the point is like, it's not, I don't think it's saying that there's no room for debate or importance for debate in society, but how much of it is just wasting time? How much of it is just battling, you know, for the sake of battling, you know, when we know it's not even going anywhere?
A lot of hate out there, Prabhu.
Well, yeah, hate and just time, wasting precious time, wasting precious words, you know, and I think that's part of what he's saying. Like, I like how he says it. The line says, you know, what does he say, for like a brave, noble creature like you, or something like that?
Right.
You know, like, you know, are we noble? Do our words and do our time have value? You know, do we actually have that sense of self-worth? You know, that like, my words and my time have value. Why waste them?
It's sad when devotees get caught up in this too. It's great to see devotees who are just like following that path of the main, keeping the main.
Well, you know, speaking of devotees, what you know, our example, you know, is the Goswamis of Vrindavan, right? Their focus, and this story reminds me of that story that we've told before,
where the guy comes and debates and says, "Yes, I want to debate you."
He wanted to debate Rupa Goswami, right? Yes.
Rupa Goswami's like, yeah. He goes, and they have this thing where if you win the debate, you got to sign off. Like, I've defeated Rupa Goswami. He's like, you don't have to debate me. Just give me the paper. I'll sign it.
I'll sign it already.
You defeated me. I'll sign it. He goes, see, I've debated it.
I've debated so then that debater is going around saying, I defeated Rupa Goswami.
And one of the disciples got very angry at Rupa Goswami.
Jiva Goswami.
He said, no way. You did not defeat my guru. I'm going to debate you, and I'm going to, you know, verbally crush you and slap you around verbally. And so he defeated this guy after a long time. Now you sign this. And he goes, look, Rupa Goswami, this guy claimed look, Guru Maharaj, this guy claimed he beat you and I beat him. He said basically the same thing. Don't be a donkey. Don't waste your time arguing with donkeys.
He said, well, yeah. And you know, the thing was, in one sense, Jiva's whole point was that it wasn't even his own ego, but he wanted to do it to defend Rupa, who he loved and respected so much. But Rupa's point was, why are you wasting your time like this? You know, and he was saying specifically in Vrindavan, right? Vrindavan is that place, you know, that place of bhakti. You come here to meditate on Radha and Krishna, to meditate on that which is so much more significant, so much more valuable. And if you're wasting your time here with that, I don't think you belong here. You should get out of Vrindavan. He kicked him out of Vrindavan.
You know what? Vrindavan's sacred. A lot of people go to Vrindavan without that like instruction. And they just go to Vrindavan like they go to anywhere else, and you just can't. And you cheat yourself out of what could be a very, very precious time.
And similarly, we're meant to be living in Vrindavan always, right? If not physically, at least in our mind. Yeah. And so if we dedicate our words and our mind to this, then actually we disqualify ourselves from that state of consciousness, from that Vrindavan consciousness, from that bhakti.
What to speak of going to these places and just making offenses?
That's another thing. You
know,
becomes counterproductive.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go.
That's a good one. And that brings us into the world of Maharaj Prithu.
Let's go there.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before he started the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttamasloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki, by regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee. All that is troublesome to the heart will be eradicated. In loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Timurandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances. I tell you, if you're listening out there as an other, I wish you could just witness everybody on Zoom. Whenever I do those prayers, they stop what they're doing and they just like go into like meditation mode. You know, some people are in the kitchen, some people are brushing their teeth, like they put their hands together. Some people are like driving the car, they're pulling over or wiping out. David Houseworth is like building a Roth cart or something up there, and he's like got his hands together. I just like looking around while everybody's in prayer. Okay.
You ready?
Yes, sir. So we are in Canto 4. Mara, where is we, Mara?
Reading from Canto 4, chapter 22, text 15.
Text 15.
15, all right.
So Prithu is he's winding up his glorification of the Kumaras, and I think he's about to ask a question of them. Or did he just ask it?
Well, here's 15.
Yeah, no, he's about to ask it. Here it comes.
I am completely assured that personalities like you are the only friends for persons who are blazing in the fire of material existence. Oh, yeah, we wanted to read this again, remember? I therefore ask you how in the material world we can very soon achieve the ultimate goal of life.
Okay, well, that's a good question, right? How do we achieve the ultimate
How do we
goal of
achieve
life?
the ultimate goal of life?
We're suffering, right? Although we may not like to admit it, we're blazing in that fire. You know that there's that story. I forget where it's from, but you know that story about like someone's hanging from a cliff and they got like they got, maybe it's from the Upanishads or something like that. They're holding on to one branch and they're about to fall off the cliff. But meanwhile, like there's some kind of like snake biting at their wrist.
Oh yeah.
And then there's like a mouse eating away at the branch that they're hanging. Something, you know, it's just like, it just goes to show just how precarious our situation is in this world, right?
If we knew how precarious our situation was, we'd probably do something about it, but we don't. We think, well, I'm very, very stable.
Yeah.
I'm very, very stable.
Then sometimes that illusion gets taken away and life just seems so dark.
Yeah, it gets
scary.
punctured.
Yeah,
you know,
punctured.
A lot of times death, disease, you know, these big reversals of life, they are the impetus, the trampoline to accelerate our spiritual life, you know, and never look at, and that's been my biggest realization with Gopal. It's like when Gopal Chandra, it's like he's in this situation where he's leaving his body. And the realization I think both of us have is it's not you that's leaving your body. It's all of us are leaving our body. This isn't your message about get serious about your spiritual life, Gopal. This is all of our message to get serious. How many more warning signs do we need for us to get serious about our spiritual life?
It's blazing. The world is blazing.
The world's blazing.
There it is. There's the first quote for today. Hashtag the world is blazing.
The world's blazing, like that.
Okay. Text 16.
Text 16. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always anxious to elevate the living entities who are his parts and parcels. For their special benefit, the Lord travels all over the world in the form of self-realized persons like you. Yeah.
So that's his message. That's where he wraps up his message. Go ahead.
I know me and John Burke were talking yesterday. We're going for a little Japa walk last night after everything was done. Okay. We're thinking, we were trying to think about, he's like, and he's a painter.
Sounds a little bit more like a Japa talk than a Japa.
Yeah, a little Japa talk. We're having a little bromance going on.
Okay.
And he was trying to like get down on himself. Said, do you mind if I say this story? I was like,
do you mind if I say
that story, John Burke? He's live today. I was like, he was like, I'm not like, I'm a painter. I'm like, just trying to sort of like little self-deprecation. And I was like, don't you understand? Living in the West, you are like the 5% of the world who's on top. Most people out there are struggling just for living, just for food, just for water. There's famine is like rampant. Our problems are first world problems. What we've got going on is like, we're walking down a country road right here. We are like so fortunate. We are so incredibly blessed. We don't realize how blessed we are. And that's materially speaking, but we have like the treasure trove, the treasure chest of spiritual life has landed on our lap. We have found not just an interesting truth about life, an interesting truth on how to apply that truth to life. And a community of people has been, it's almost like a community of Goswamis are banging at our windows all the time. Please take this truth. Please take this truth. You don't get any more fortunate than what you got right now. This wasn't happening basically when, my mom was little. Vedic wisdom. I mean, after you listen to that interview yesterday with Jeffrey Armstrong, what a great interview. If you missed that, please go back and check it. But it's like all of this stuff came from Vedic thought. And now it's really easily accessible. And it's like banging on your doors. There's books published. There's great teachers. There's YouTube videos. Come on. We are so lucky. We're the luckiest people in the history of the world.
So it's both things. The world is blazing. But on the other side, we're very fortunate that this message is here, right?
Incredible. Because it is blazing. If it's not blazing now, give it time. It'll blaze.
All right.
We should all have a big smile on our face and be like, thank you for this information.
Right.
Now I can deal with, this karma that I have. And the karma is very interesting, isn't it? It's like you could have everything and be miserable. You could have everything and be suicidal. You can have everything and be depressed. Or you can have everything and get diseased and lose everything. Good karma is not good. Good karma has its own set of problems that go with it.
There you go.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You could have a lot of born into people think that because you've got money, you're privileged. Are you privileged? Are you privileged if you have lots of money, but everybody wants you for your money? You never know if you have a friend. You never know if the girl you're dating or the guy that you're dating just wants your money. Is that a privilege? What about if you're very beautiful? Is that a privilege? It is a privilege in certain ways. It's also a deficit, a handicap in a lot of ways as well. Are people just want me for my body? I go through this problem a lot.
I know everybody wants your body right now. Right?
Look at her laughing. It's not that funny. Okay.
It's true. I once heard someone give a talk. I thought it was very interesting. And they're saying that like sometimes people are born, very unattractive for some reason, right? And we think what a misfortune, but actually, for all we know, it was the greatest blessing in their life.
Yeah.
That maybe even they were an advanced person in their previous life that, like a spiritually, active person in their previous life, but maybe they were very attractive, and maybe that made it more difficult for them to stay focused, and maybe they even prayed for it. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, well, I think that's what happened to King Nringa, right?
How's that?
Didn't he make fun of somebody? There are some
how he got cursed.
How he got cursed to be a lizard.
Pride.
But there's a lot of that. Mara, there were some demons in Krishna book, right? And they made fun of somebody for being disfigured. Who was that? If you know, some of our pundits know they had to take birth as demons for one life, and they were actually great devotees, but they did something. They made some criticism.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
In any case, it just goes to show that what you were just saying, like good karma isn't necessarily good, and bad karma isn't necessarily bad.
Right?
I
mean, look at Judd Bart. The story I've been telling. Judd Bart, he was like a completely self-realized soul. He was actually born in this big, strong body, but he just decided. Anyway, that's not analogous, I don't think. But the idea,
in other words, he wanted to live as if he had bad karma because it was advantageous.
Yeah.
So he pretended he behaved as if he were like almost like mentally retarded.
You can't say that, but yes.
Anyway, it's been said. Whatever, mentally. What do you want to say? What's the term?
I don't know. I never got the download of the right terms anymore.
Okay. So in any case, he pretended like that because he actually saw that it could be advantageous spiritually.
Parmananda says this.
Yeah.
Parmananda says the snake that swallowed Nanda made fun of Astavakra.
There you go, Parmananda.
Thank you, Parmananda. Yeah, the Astavakra means he was crooked in 8 places, and he got cursed to be a snake.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, good karma, bad karma.
Okay, so Prithu, he's saying that the Lord always wants to see everyone elevated,
Yeah.
And he's saying, and the way that he does it is he sends people like you guys around, you know, like the four Kumars. You travel around and you just share your message. So now he's glorified them. He's placed his question before them. He's glorified them once again, and now he's ready to hear from them. So now the four
There's text 16.
sages, these that was 16.
I mean,
So
17.
yeah, so these four sages, these four boy sages now are about to drop the wisdom.
Okay. Thus, Sanat Kumar, the best of the celibates, after hearing the speech of Prithu Maharaj, which was meaningful, appropriate, full of precise words, and very sweet to hear, smiled with full satisfaction and began to speak as follows. Sanat Kumar said,
Hold it. Let's slow it down here. Let's look at what's been said here. There's been four qualities. These are sages, right? They were being praised by Prithu Maharaj.
Yeah.
But they weren't becoming. It wasn't like it was blowing up their false egos, but rather they were appreciating him, and they're so observant that Sanat Kumara says, you listen to your words, your speech. It was. He says it was saram. It was very meaningful, right? You didn't waste words. Everything that you said was meaningful. It was shushtu. It was appropriate. It was appropriate to the circumstance. It was mitam. It was concise. And it was madhu.
Sweet.
It was very sweet to hear. You know, so they're saying this. They're appreciating the quality of his speech, right? In detail, the quality of his speech, which is just like we're hearing with the donkey and the what was it, the tiger, where the lion is saying to the tiger, you know what, I'm expecting you to be more noble, right? And that should be reflected through your speech and how you engage your speech. And this is like you know, a very key part of yoga, right? How much do you get this idea if you took a class in every yoga studio in America today, right? Would anyone even bring this up? You know, that like such an important part of your yoga practice is really thinking about your speech and valuing your speech and using your speech in a way that's disciplined and regulated and powerful and pure and uplifting, you know.
Yeah, that's not going to get you more followers for your yoga, you know, your yoga thing on Instagram.
Yeah,
Here's a little thing of me speaking, sweet words, appropriate for the situation, and, you know, select. Yeah. Prabhupada says speech should be composed of selected words, sweet, very sweet to hear, and appropriate to the situation. Such speech is called.
Yes. Called what?
That's meaningful.
Called meaningful. That's in the commentary here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and what that reminds me of, it's one of my favorite places in the Ramayana, Raghunath.
Oh, tell me.
There's a beautiful. To me, I always thought it was a very beautiful section.
The cutting off of the nose of Sapernica.
No,
That's a good section.
Why do you watch that violent? No, what I'm talking about is the very moment where Hanuman meets Ram and Lakshman.
Oh, that's sweet.
Right, and to me, it's really important because it reveals so much about the character of Hanuman, who is like this. You know, Hanuman is this personification of devotion, you know, and of service. But we see that like it's being said here, when one is advanced in yoga, right? Particularly when one is advanced in bhakti, we'll see that their speech becomes special. It's especially empowered, right? It mentioned concise, right? In other words, you become empowered to speak very clearly, you know, and to the point, and you're not wasting words, you know, and meaningful. Right, that your words, that they carry weight. You know, this is part of what it means. It said that the devotee is grave, right? In other words, that whatever you're saying, it has meaning, it has purpose, it's appropriate, you know. And so we see that in Hanuman here. When I think commonly, if we don't go too deep into Ramayana, we think, okay, Hanuman is this monkey and he fights and he carries the mountain and all of that. But Hanuman, you know, he was like he was like so articulate and so intelligent, so wise. And so there's the point in, do you remember the circumstances under which Hanuman meets Ram and Lakshman? Do you remember, Raghunath? No? You can say no.
No, I don't remember off the top of my head.
But it had to do with Ram and Lakshman are searching for Sita, and they were told that there's the king of the monkeys can help you, right? Sugriva can help you. But what's Sugriva's condition at that point?
He was getting he was under Bali.
Yeah, he was in hiding. Right. He was in hiding because his brother Bali was
looking for him.
Yeah, kind of had exiled him. And so his situation, and taken his wife too, which was very similar to Ram's condition. And so he's kind of like on this mountain where he knows he's safe from his brother. And he sees Ram and Lakshman. Sugriv sees them. And when he sees them, what's unusual about them? Do you remember?
Trying to hot seat me this morning.
You're such a reminder guy. I thought you'd be good. You'd be ready for this. You had a long weekend, maybe. But he sees that they're powerful and strong and carrying weapons like warriors.
Okay.
But they're also dressed like mendicants, like sannyasis. There's something that they're dressed
like,
as sannyasis.
Are they working for Bali? Maybe.
Yeah, like they look very dangerous, and they look like they're not what they're posing to be, right? They're posing as renunciates, but they're carrying swords, they're carrying bows, they seem very dangerous, and maybe my brother sent them to get me. And so he's fearful. He asks Hanuman, right? Hanuman, he praises Hanuman for his qualities and says, I need you to go down there and find out who these people are. And he suggests that Hanuman do it in disguise. And so Hanuman has that ability to shapeshift, right?
Yeah, he didn't put it on a disguise. He shifted his shapes.
He shifted his shape.
Little mustache.
To that of like a brahmachari or a brahmana. Okay, and so I'm going to read this, and we're going to hear Hanuman's words in his speech.
This is while he's in disguise.
While he's in disguise. He'll reveal that I'm in disguise, because something happens when he connects with Ram, right? The Lord, the Lord of his life, the love of his life. There's a love at first sight here that takes place, right? When there's a real connection. There's a love connection that takes place here, Raghunath, between Hanuman and Ram. And so Hanuman's going to also reveal, yeah, I'm in disguise right now. This is why I'm here, so on. So it goes like this. It says, Hanuman, who is the son of Vayu, the god of the wind, agreed to obey the commands of his master and proceeded to where Ram and his dear Lakshmana were wandering. To appear in the guise of a brahmachari seemed to him to be a wise decision, since he did not know who these two strangers were. From the top of the mountain he reached the neighborhood of the princes very soon, since he leapt from tree to tree and from rock to rock. He went to the presence of Ram and Lakshman and welcomed them to the mountain with very sweet words and in a charming manner. Hanuman said, You seem to be Rajarshis. What's a Rajarshi?
A kingly sage.
Yeah, or sagely king.
A Raja Rishi.
A Raja, yeah, both a Raja, a king, and a Rishi, like a sage. You seem to be Rajarshis, and you appear to be divine beings. I've been watching you, and you are looking for something on the slopes of this mountain. You are watching the trees and the herds of deer which pass you by, and you are, to my mind, observing strict penance. I'm intrigued as to who you may be. You appear to be sannyasis, but your weapons and the fact that you are both armed seem to belie it. I can see eagerness in your steps and a semblance of impatience, as though you are seeking something. Bravery seems to have taken a form in the two of you. Serene as the surface of a lake, your faces express courage in the face of misfortunes. How observant he was, right? Your radiance is like that of molten gold, and your sighs express some sorrow which is lodged in your minds. Your gaits, like that of lions, your wide chest and your powerful arms, your bows, which are as glorious as the bow of Indra, make me eager to know who you may be. Your handsomeness is captivating. I'm convinced that you are royal personages, though your garbs are those of mendicants. This mountain, the river which flows here, the waters of Pampa, have gained an added glow because of your presence. You resemble each other so much that I can easily guess that you are brothers. With your eyes like the petals of the lotus, with your divine looks, you make me wonder. It seems to me as though the sun and moon have abandoned the heavens and have come down to the earth for some heavenly purpose. What is the reason behind your wandering in this place, which is devoid of human beings? Your arms are bare, but it is apparent that they should be wearing ornaments made of gold. Perhaps you have come here to guard this beautiful mountain, which is even more lovely than the Vindhya or the Meru. Your bows, which are looking so powerful, and these arrows like flames, are never at rest. I am sure once your anger is roused. These swords look like serpents which are asleep. They gleam like serpents which have just shed their skins. I will tell you who I am. There is a good and powerful monkey chief by the name Sugriva. He has been driven out of his kingdom by his brother, and this Sugriva has been wandering about the slopes of this Rishyamukha. My name is Hanuman, and I have been sent by him to find out about you. Sugriva desires friendship with you. I am a monkey and can assume any form I wish. To find out about you, I assume this guise of a brahmachari. As I told you, I am a monkey, and I am the son of Vayu. I am one of the faithful servants of Sugriva and one of his mentors. Okay, so that's what Hanuman said, right? And beautiful, isn't it? I mean, just like you just see something about Hanuman. He's not just this monkey, right? He's a deep Vaishnava, and he's very observant, and he's very articulate, and he's got it's something about his heart is very pure. This revealed, there.
We should understand he's not really a monkey. He's a species of being that sort of looks a little monkeyish, but it's not like an ordinary monkey. He's like they're mystics, these Vanaras, and they're very, very intelligent, and they're like evolved beings.
Hanuman said nothing more and stood waiting for them to reply. Ram was thrilled by the words of Hanuman. He turned to Lakshmana and said, Lakshmana, we've been looking for Sugriva, and this messenger from him is his mentor. He has approached me with a desire to be friends with me. This Hanuman speaks beautifully. He seems to be a very sincere person and pure in mind. I want you to talk to him. I am sure he is well versed in the Vedas, or else he would not have been able to talk so well. He knows all 3 Vedas. He is a master of grammar, and while he spoke, I could not find a single mistake in the formation of his sentences. His entire personality is very attractive, and his voice is very pleasing and attractive too. Pitched low in the Madhyama, his voice is musical to the ears. He spoke well too. His manner of talking was convincing, short, and spontaneous. Right? Short meaning like concise, to the point. He spoke well too. His manner of talking was convincing, short, and spontaneous. It was genuine, straight from his heart, and I could detect no deception in him. His words were so well formed, scholarly, clearly spoken, that they are to be praised to the utmost. With his words, which rose from the heart, neck, and head, which are bewitching, how can even an enemy resist him? Fortunate is Sugriva to have such a gem as his minister. All his desires and plans will succeed if Hanuman is the mentor for him. His deeds will all be accomplished by the messenger himself. So capable is he. What a beautiful passage, isn't it?
It's beautiful. Hanuman's beautiful.
It actually, it reminds me, just yesterday, a very nice, it's a devotee that I've never met, but I would love to meet, but so many people sing of his praises. But a devotee named Sutapa. Have you met him before in England?
I know of him, but I never met him. I always wanted to meet him.
Yeah. So he's been a brahmachari. I'm not sure for exactly, but for I'd imagine a couple of decades or so, been a monk.
Let's get him on the show.
And he took so in other words, he's been a brahmachari, which is like a student monk, right? Which you may do for a certain period of time. But yesterday he took the vows of a sannyasi, which means a lifelong monk. And there's a big ceremony, and he's a beloved devotee there in England. You know, so I think about like 1,000 people came to witness this as he received sannyas from his guru, who is a sannyasi, Kadamba Swami. And there were quite a few people spoke. I didn't hear the whole thing. But I did hear Genevieve's father speak. Kripamoy Prabhu. He spoke very, very. You know, it was this kind of thing manifesting. He spoke so well. You know, he spoke with humor. He spoke with clarity, but he spoke in a very appropriate way. He said some interesting things. You know, he said like, speaking to the etiquette. He said, if any of us were to just go pat him on the back now and say, hey, you know, he said that would actually be like a breaking of etiquette, you know, like we show him special respect now, like this. But his own, I didn't hear this, but my wife was telling me about this, and she said she was listening to Kadamba Maharaj speak, his guru, and she was so impressed by the way that he spoke, by his words. She said some of the things that Ram just said. She said he spoke straight from the heart, you know, and he spoke very clearly. And he was saying, as a community, let us all, you know, like becoming a sannyasi, it's like you kind of become a leader in a way, you know, because special respect is shown to that renunciation. And he said, but he's new to it, you know. And he said, let us all give him room to grow, you know, as a sannyasi. You know, he was saying he's a very special person, you know, but he's taking up a very special challenge. And let us all give him room to grow into this role, you know. Let's show him the respect that he's due, and let's also give him room to grow. Anyway, she was just like glorifying the beauty in his words. And this is something that, you know, we have all this facility. We have television, we have film, we have radio, we have podcasts, we have, you know, computers. There's so much forum for good information, and we waste so much of our time on you know, hearing words that do nothing to uplift us. We need to seek it out, where we appreciate it, feel nourished by it. You know, just as Ram was saying, he felt so moved by Hanuman's words because of the quality of them.
You know, just like in yoga, there's ways to bend, there's ways to twist, there's ways to stand. This is like when you start practicing Krishna consciousness, there's ways to speak. There's ways to speak publicly. There's ways to speak privately. There's ways to speak. Braj Bihari puts on the board from the Gita, austerity of speech consists of speaking truthfully and beneficially, and in avoiding speech that offends. One should also recite the Vedas regularly. That's from the 17th chapter of the Gita. Yeah. But if you hear devotees speak of other people, they definitively speak in a way that's like, that was beautiful. That was poetic.
Yeah.
It just, because it's part of the training of how yogis use this vehicle, in the same way a yoga teacher would tell you how to twist, how you speak publicly, how you, before you even speak, you appreciate your teachers, you appreciate the people in the room who are your seniors. It's a whole new cultured way of living that just has been lost with sarcasm and low class humor. And it's good. And by the way, I really want to meet the Sutapa's new name is Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Swami.
Keshav Swami.
Keshav Swami.
Why don't you go ahead and read Prabhupada? It's a short purport, but why don't you go ahead and read that?
Okay. What are we on? 16 or 17?
That's 17.
17. Okay. Purport text 17. Preacher Maharaj's talks before the Kumars were very laudable. What does laudable mean?
Praiseworthy, I believe.
Okay. Because of so many qualifications. As speech should be composed of selected words, very sweet to hear and appropriate to the situation. Such speech is called meaningful. All these good qualifications are present in Preacher Maharaj's speech because he is a perfect devotee. It is said, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarver gunais tatras samasate suraha. For one who has unflinching devotional faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is engaged in his service in bhakti, all good qualities become manifest in that person.
That's from Bhagavatam 5:18.
Ours were very much pleased, and Sanat Kumar began to speak as follows.
Okay. Very nice, right? This is something that every human being should be concerned about, right? Like particularly those that are cultivating bhakti. Is like, I mean, I do it all the time. It's so often something comes out of my mouth that I regret saying. You know, I'm just like, oh, you know, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I just feel like I wish I could take that back, and I want to become this kind of what this is saying is that when the heart is purified, you know, when the mind is purified, then what starts to come out of that faculty, right? Our faculty of speech,
Yeah.
you know, which is connected to the mind, connected to the heart, starts to become valuable and meaningful, you know, powerful, and therefore, you know, I think we can all say, like, I'll tell you something. When you know, we tell the story. I tell the story sometimes about how I first came to the practice of bhakti, and I was moved by Prabhupada's words in his books, you know, and I began to meet some devotees, you know, who were sharing different messages. But one day, I just heard one devotee speak, you know, and there was power in their words. It wasn't even necessary that they were saying things I hadn't heard before, but because it was coming through, there was a potency in their words, because it was something that they lived, it was something that they embodied, it was something that was coming from a place of purity of heart and mind. And when those words entered in, you know, through my ears, it moved me in a way that I said, I need to commit myself. I need to change my life. I need to change my life. And so I think that's something that we all, you know, as practitioners of bhakti, we want to, we want that our speech become valuable like that. And in the beginning, it means, you know what, we got to shut up sometimes, you know, and actually, you know, you know, begin to hold back speech that is not so valuable, you know, like kind of
Sure.
shut it down, you know.
I use this initiation, but I use this analogy a lot, but it's really poignant.
Yeah.
It's we have some habits, and the habits give us good reactions. I eat healthy, I get a good reaction. Or I eat poorly, I get a bad reaction. We have these little ups and downs in the material world. When we enter our spiritual life and into spiritual communities, there is an accelerator, like a trampoline to like just springboard further than you ever sprung before in your spiritual life, in your world of transformation, in becoming a new you. You have the opportunity to really radically transform real quick. It's like me and Kaustubha are playing poker for pennies and nickels, and all of a sudden we're going to Vegas, and we're playing with $10,000 chips. You have the opportunity to make tons of money real quick, or you could lose everything. Like you might have to like mortgage your house. If you lose, you lose big. So sometimes when we come into these sacred circles, we have an opportunity to do so much change because we see people changing. But here's my problem. I'll bring my old habits of ultra scrutinizing everyone. Okay, here's this devotee. He's given his life to God. He's done so much. And instead of like really focusing on what they've done wonderful, I focus on, well, why does he do this? You know, you highlight their bad points. And this is a problem when we start hanging out with devotees for a little bit longer. At first, we're in this like romantic, everyone's pure. But then as we start to get to know people, we've been around a while, we start to notice, like I did in the past, everybody's shortcomings instead of the greatness they've done. So we have to really pull back those qualities of finding the bad in people when we're dealing with people who've dedicated their lives to spirituality. Because it's like playing, we can lose big with these offenses in spiritual life. And the converse is true. We can accelerate very quickly because let's face it, my spiritual life is not about what they're doing wrong. It's about what can I do right? How can I change?
Right.
Everything is there for me to change. It's not okay, let me really find out how this, and I always want to micromanage everybody's life. Time to micromanage my life. To micromanage what I can do with my life to become a better person instead of like seeing where everything else is wrong.
And you know,
part of our spiritual life.
I thank you for sharing that. It's so true. And what you're saying, like you're emphasizing one side of it. Now, it's not that that wrong things can't be recognized and dealt with, but within that etiquette, there are ways to deal with it where you're not just blabbing on nonsense and criticize even things that you may not even understand well. And even if you do understand it, it may have no value. You know, that type of, there are ways to address these issues, but they should be addressed within that broader etiquette. And when you do that, what it does is it disciplines how you think, it disciplines how you speak. And all of that becomes, you know, such an important part of the practice. You know, it says here, right, this Prabhupada quotes this verse, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatiya kinchana, sarver gunais tatra samasate suraha, that when you practice this, it says that when you develop that unflinching faith and devotion in the practice of devotion, then these good qualities, they become manifest in you. But, you know, just like everything in bhakti, it's a combination of, you know, that sounds like it's all about grace, right? Like, you just do it and then it comes. And there's a truth to that, but it's a grace that comes with effort too. You know, in other words, one does put in the effort to that. Let me begin to speak in a way that has more meaning. Let me begin to speak in a way that has more value. Let me begin to discipline my speech, or as what Raj Bihari brought up, you know, it's called the austerity of speech. Let me practice the austerity of speech. Let me spend, you know, one day, you know, without criticizing. Let me spend one day without just blabbing on about stuff that's insignificant or unimportant in life. Let me see if I can spend one day just where all my words, you know, are meaningful and relevant and, you know, valuable, and not just wasted.
Think I could do that, man?
Yeah, probably.
Yes, Prabhu. Mara's like that. All right, that's we're out of time. Do we have some takeaways, Mara?
We do. I think, did we just lose Raghu?
Oh, he's frozen.
I think so.
Maybe he's practicing austerity of speech. He just.
I got some good takeaways.
Oh, here he's back. He's back.
Everybody froze for a second.
We thought you were practicing Mona Vrata, our silence.
All right, I'm gonna do it one day.
When emotions run high, intellect is low.
When emotions are high, intellect can go low. It's true.
Don't waste time arguing with donkeys.
Don't do it.
Dedicate your words and mind to a Vrindavan consciousness.
Very nice.
I froze. Sorry.
It's okay. How many warning signs do we need to get serious about our spiritual life?
How many?
I don't know.
We're the luckiest people.
We're the luckiest people in the universe, right here, right now. Treasure troves of treasures on our laps.
Good
And
karma.
And yet the world is ablaze, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. We're blazing on fire, carrying treasures.
Good karma has its own set of problems.
Who?
It's sure. Good karma.
What
Good
does?
karma. Good karma.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Be disciplined and uplifting in your speech.
There you go. Those are themes.
Uplifting.
Mhm. Notice devotees' greatness, not their shortcomings.
Mm-hmm.
Please, please, please.
It's time to micromanage my own life.
It's time to micromanage your life.
And the world is blazing.
The world is blazing.
How about what happened to don't argue with the donkey?
I think she had something like that.
Yeah, I
but
said
you were
don't waste
frozen.
time arguing with donkeys. You were
Okay.
frozen.
I was frozen. Okay.
All right.
Hear
We're off
good,
to-
speak good.
You're
Don't
good
give
speaker.
punishment to the wrong person. Anyway, thanks, everyone.
It's okay if you punish the wrong people.
Sometimes you just got to punish for the heck of it, for fun. No, just kidding. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. What a beautiful group of people. I like to spend my morning with these beautiful people. And I don't mean externally beautiful, but you are that too. Internally, you're beautiful. You wake up early, you want to hear spiritual truth, and you are externally beautiful. Anyway, it doesn't matter if you're externally beautiful, does it? But at the same time, I don't want to make it sound like you're not. I'm lost.
Just say they're beautiful and it's enough.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We can do this. If you're one of the others out there, come join us live on Zoom. Wisdom of the Sages 108@gmail.com. That is the ticket to get the secret codes to join our little family of Zoomers. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to all the contributors on our message too.
You're freezing up. Rogu's freezing up on us. Somehow we got through the show, though. That was like,
Yeah, it
that
was
was a
good
Krishna
timing.
miracle. Yeah.
It was.
But he's got to get that thing fixed.